A very good Wednesday morning. Welcome inside our studios here on 5 Clubs on Golf Channel here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am Gary Williams, and we are presented by Century Insurance, right by you, and also our 3 North Carolina-based companies that we could not do what we do without them. Peter Millar, Pinehurst, and also Golf Pride. These are 3 companies that have been very, very good to us, very loyal and supportive of us as we embark on this journey with you in 2025, not only here on Golf Channel, but also simulcast on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. This is a big week because the LPGA is going to play their first event of the season. Lauren Coughlin is going to join us here in just a few minutes, who had one of the real special seasons and stories in golf in 2024. And you've got a Signature Series event that will include, for the first time in 2025, the #1 player in the world. You could argue, going back just a couple of years, as valuable and as popular an asset the PGA Tour had in Jordan Spieth off of his wrist surgery. And then Rory McIlroy, who started his professional season in the Middle East and now has made his way to Pebble Beach off of his first event for Boston Common and TGL to play in this Signature Series event. And anytime Rory steps into the media center, it's valuable time. It's valuable time for people who are covering the event and for consumers of professional golf, because he's going to give you morsels. He's going to give you meat, and you're going to be able to pick it off the bone and carve it up and dissect it and talk about it, because he's thoughtful, he's righteous, and he's forthcoming. I want to share with you a portion of what he had to say yesterday, because it leads to an ongoing narrative that we've seen to start this year as it relates to the popularity or the sagging of interest in professional golf. Here's a portion of what Rory had to say yesterday. YouTube golf is like golf entertainment adjacent. Whatever, those guys are killing it. They found a niche. It's really cool, and it serves a purpose for a lot of people. But look, I'd much rather sit down and watch real golfers play real golf tournaments, and that's just my opinion. He goes on to say, but I understand that other people want something different, and that's totally fine as well. I think there's space for all of this. Yeah, I can see when the golf consumer might get a little fatigued of everything that's sort of available to them. So to scale it back a little bit and maybe have a little bit more scarcity in some of the stuff that we do, like the NFL, I think mightn't be a bad thing. Now, in the overall, I know what he's saying, and I get what he's saying, because I think with anything that the heart grows fonder when it's absent from your life for a little while, and that certainly includes the NFL. But to compare professional men's golf to the NFL, I think is a little crazy for this reason. Last Sunday, the Chiefs and the Bills played a football game, and they garnered a rating and an audience of 57 million people. 57 million. Last year's highest rated golf tournament was the Masters at under 10. So 5 Masters would not match a conference championship game in the NFL. I think that professional golf and the best players in the world should go away for a while. And I get that point. But with a workforce that is shrinking at the behest of the best players in the game, including Rory McIlroy, because we're going to see a membership go from 125 to 120 at a time where everyone is professing that more people can win, play, make a living globally than they ever have. So we're shrinking the workforce, and now we want to reduce the number of job sites for that workforce. So guys who get in less events, for example, this week there's 80 players. In the past at Pebble Beach, there's been 40, 50, maybe even up to 60, not at this event, available, but there were over 300 players over 3 courses being played on the Monterey Peninsula. Now you have 2 courses, you have 80 players, you have a no-cut event, and that's the other part of this. Professional golf, and one of the things that I admire most about people who make a living doing this, is that forever it was fair, it was reasonable, it was just to call this a meritocracy. You went out, you put the tee in the ground, and whatever number you put in that box was represented in what you put in your bank account. Now we have a subset of events that feels more like Patrick Cantley is Tyler Winklevoss in The Social Network, and he's telling you whether you can or cannot enter the Porcellian. This is not a secret society, and it shouldn't be. The best players will always drive this product, but we can't lessen the opportunity for players at a time where the workforce itself is getting smaller. Last year, Scottie Scheffler, in total, with his earnings on the golf course, and then you add the FedEx Cup playoff bonus pool, and then you add the Comcast business pool that was part of the regular season incentive based on your overall performance over the course of the year, he made $62 million. I don't begrudge anybody anything of what they make, but the sustainability of that seems unrealistic because, again, I'm going to go back to the comparison to the National Football League. Patrick Mahomes, a couple of years ago, signed a contract for 10 years. And all in, it's about $500 million. So you're going, okay, 10 times 500, divide that. So he's making about $50 million a year. Scottie Scheffler made $12 million more than a guy who's the Michael Jordan of the most popular sport in America. Doesn't seem realistic, does it? Also doesn't seem sustainable. Here's the thing about leverage. It's a nice thing to feel. It's a nice thing to have. But leverage, if you lean into it too much, all of a sudden you're on the precipice of sounding and being greedy. And you know what happens with greed? It feels good immediately, but ultimately it becomes costly. Rory McIlroy played 19 events on the PGA Tour season last year. And as much as he talks about scarcity, and I'm with him, that I think that all the best players should go away. But you know what he did after the Tour Championship? He went to Europe and he played 5 more events before Thanksgiving. He didn't become scarce. He actually played 25% of what he played on the PGA Tour, from Ireland at the Irish Open to Wentworth in England to the Dunhill Links in Scotland to Abu Dhabi and eventually to Dubai. And I'm glad he did, because his presence made those events bigger. It fortifies the DP World Tour that struggles to make a profit outside of a Ryder Cup year where the Ryder Cup is actually being played in Europe. Look, the PGA Tour is a very good product, but again, we're diverting our eyes from the biggest issue. The best players need to play more, not less. And they need to play more together, not less apart. All right, we're going to take a break here. I mentioned the name Lauren Coughlin. She had a fantastic year, a special year, a year that is uncommon in professional sports, especially in golf, to get to a place after 30 and you go, you know what? I'm going to become one of the best in the world. And she did. Her thoughts on looking back and looking ahead. Nice to have you with us on this Wednesday morning. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel, and you can listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. We're back with Lauren right after this. We are back. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. It's 11 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday morning, and this segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. I'll let you know the Align Max got into the winner's circle for the first time with Harris English over the weekend at the Farmers Insurance. This grip is going to be available to you in less than 2 weeks. More players at every level play Golf Pride than any other grip globally in the world. All right, joining me now, she won twice last year and had one of the special seasons in golf. Whatever tour you're talking about, punctuated by a special week at the Solheim Cup where I don't think she ever saw the 17th green until her singles match. I am referring to and talking about Lauren Coughlin, who's kind enough to join me now. She starts her season tomorrow. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey Gary, thanks for having me. Doing good, just hanging out in Lake Nona here in
Well,
Florida.
I mentioned you're gonna start your season tomorrow, and we were talking during the break, and you said, look, I feel like I took kind of my off season before the Grant Thornton, which was the mixed team event in December. What did you do? What did you and your husband do to either celebrate, reflect, and just kind of soak in what was such a magical year?
Yeah, after I played in the Arkansas event, which was 2 weeks after Solheim, and I originally was going to go play the Shanghai event and do Korea for the Asian swing. But I don't know, I was pretty whipped after Arkansas, and my husband and I just decided, you know what, I just need some time. And so we ended up staying home in Charlottesville, and it was homecomings for the football that week. So we got to go to a football game, got to see, some of my husband's teammates were able to come up for homecoming and just got to really just hang out with friends and be in Charlottesville where we love and just get to experience that. And then, yeah, I just took some time, didn't touch a club for a few weeks, and then started getting back ready for the Annika and CME.
If I take you back to last year, and I know you're ready to look ahead, but indulge me here for a second. I'm thinking about the Ford Championship. You play well, you shoot 64 in the final round, so you get into the top 10, but I think you would agree it wasn't like you felt like you were in the deep end of the pool late in the tournament to win. And then a couple weeks later, here's the Chevron. Players can't simulate what that feels like to be in the blender late in a big tournament. What did it feel like?
Yeah, Phoenix, I think, was kind of the start of everything. I had to birdie out of my last 10 holes to make the cut on the number at Phoenix. And then, to do what I did on Sunday that week, it was raining and cold and not typical Phoenix weather. And shot 8 under to, backdoor top 10. So that was kind of, I feel like, the start of where I started making some putts and hitting some good golf shots. And then Chevron a couple weeks later, you know, yeah, it was like my first real time being in that moment. And I feel like I learned a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, the adrenaline and, the thinking ahead and what is Nelly doing? Where is everybody else? Where am I? But also trying to stay in the moment as much as possible. I feel like I learned a ton. I think back onto the 18th green, that putt that I made in the final round was kind of the first time I really made a putt when I really needed to make a putt. And I think that kind of started my confidence with my putter throughout the rest of the year.
You mentioned, being present and being where your feet are. Can you be having fun when you're in that moment, or is fun only something that you can feel in reflection?
No, I mean, a lot of when I look back last year, I just think about how much fun I had the whole time and just how much fun it was to be out there with my husband who was traveling with me for the first time. Yeah, and just playing really good golf obviously, makes it a little bit easier to have fun, but I feel like I was playing good golf because I was having so much fun out there.
I was talking to Martin Keimer yesterday, and he's a thoughtful guy, and he was talking about, ebbs and flows. And I saw a quote from Max Homa, and he's always forthcoming about state of mind. And he's like, look, you don't understand. Professional golfers, you hit a bad shot and you think, you know what, you should retire. And then you hit a good shot and you think you're ready to win a major. So there's this psychological high wire act that you're always on, not always, but it seems like more often than not. When did you have the most doubt, and how quickly can doubt turn into confidence?
Yeah, I would say I had a lot of doubt in the off season last year. Um, I just wanted to get better so bad. I wanted, make the Solheim Cup team so bad. And I feel like it was kind of a long off season. And so I just had a lot of time to think. But as soon as the season got going, I mean, there was certainly maybe little bit in the beginning of the year, but once I was really starting to get going and having a lot of fun out there, I wouldn't say I had too much doubt.
When you become relevant, Billy Cratchit said this to me. He goes, most people like attention. Very few people like to be watched. What is it like to feel a level of relevancy that's a reflection of performance? What does that feel like?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I'm definitely not someone who craves being the center of attention or anything like that. Honestly, I really don't like it at all, but I know I do really enjoy playing good golf and showing off in that aspect. And so it just kind of comes with it. But I definitely think it's going to take some getting used to. Just, getting recognized at tournaments, from volunteers or the fans, whereas before, hardly ever got anything. So that will be a little bit different. But overall, it's going to be a fun year and I'm really excited to get going.
It's interesting. And I've always felt like, the guys that know laying up, they make these future bets. They align themselves with different people. And look, they made a bet on you. But that comes with attention. Why did you make that choice to align yourself with guys who get a lot of attention?
Yeah, I think I was just big fans of their work. The podcast, I loved it so much. Their interviews kind of helped me a lot in certain times, hearing Max's story and
Yep.
other players' stories can certainly help, make me feel like you're not the only one that's going through certain things. And so I felt like it would just be a really cool opportunity to kind of get to know them and be a part of their brand in a certain way. And um, yeah, but I think the coolest part is I kind of became a member of like their community that they've been able to make,
Yep.
and at certain events, I have people that come out and watch me that I've never met, but I get a lot of support, and that's really cool.
The Solheim Cup, it's such an unusual experience, whether it's Solheim Cup, Ryder Cup, when the first tee really on a Friday morning can feel like the 18th green on a Sunday. What did you learn about yourself subjecting yourself to an environment that is really unusual?
Yeah, I think I've heard from so many people about how much nerves you'll feel on that first tee shot, your first match at the Solheim Cup. And I think I had prepped really well in terms of I'd been thinking about it for months. I've talked with my team, my husband, my coach, my caddy, Terry McNamara, and I think we just had a really good game plan in terms of trying to mentally prepare myself for that. And it was a lot of it was just all about making sure my routine was spot on, my pre-shot routine, and I think I had gotten really, really good at that, and I had gotten a really good rhythm, and so I was nervous for sure, but I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. I felt like the whole week I was just having so much fun, and I was a lot more calm the whole time than I thought I was going to be. It was the best week ever. It was so much fun, and that's what I remember about it.
Lauren, women's sports is it's cresting, and I don't want to say that it's hitting some type of plateau, but you know there's an ascendancy across the sports spectrum for women's sports. People are consuming it more. You're seeing purses spiking. The LPGA, though, is in a transitional period with respect to leadership. What do you think are the biggest priorities that the tour needs to dig into, whether it be over the course of this year, or over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think getting us on TV is going to be a huge thing and just showing off a lot of the personalities of our players. I think, women's sport is in a really good place right now and it's growing, and they just need to get our faces out there, our personalities out there, and I think that will grow our fan base tremendously, which will then lead to a lot more sponsorship money and everything that comes with that.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here. 5 questions to go. You mentioned your husband. He was also a UVA athlete, was on the football team. And look, you're a lot younger than I am, but I'm going to ask you, who is the greatest University of Virginia athlete all time?
For football or just in
No, just
general?
overall. Greatest UVA athlete.
I'm Mm, I think if my husband would answer this, I just from what he says, it would probably be Anthony Poindexter.
Okay, it's a good one. I personally would say Ralph Sampson. Um,
I mean, that's the go-to for
Come
sure.
on. I mean, he was a 3-time National Player of the Year. He was Wembanyama like 40 years ago. But I get it. I get it. All right, the last movie you or maybe you and your husband saw in an actual movie theater.
Oh man, that's a really good question. I don't know if we've gone to a movie in a really long time, actually. I used to do it all the time before COVID. Um,
It's a very
yeah,
hard
I
question to
honestly don't
answer
even,
now.
yeah, yeah, I don't know the last movie that we've gone to see, actually. We watch a lot of stuff on Netflix and things like that, but actually going to a movie theater is a lot harder.
Okay, I'm guessing you guys probably maybe this was it because I know this was it wasn't the last one, but it was the first one kind of post COVID. The Top Gun Maverick Top Gun. Did you see that in a movie theater?
Uh, I did not. I know. I watched it on streaming once it became on streaming. Again, we used to go, I used pre-COVID, I was a Movie Pass subscription member, like did all of that right before COVID happened, and we haven't really gone to movie much since.
Okay. All right. What is the tastiest yet also most convenient food to eat while driving?
I mean, I'm a big snacks person. I like chips a lot, so I would probably do some type of potato chip, or I mean, my go-to is probably the cheddar sour cream ruffles.
Nice. Yeah, those are again very clean, very efficient. Put the bag between the seat. No, that's a
hmm
good call. All right. Would you rather stay at a five-star hotel, but there was a screaming baby in the room next to you, or stay at a friend's, but their Saint Bernard had to sleep in the bed with you?
I think I would choose the Saint Bernard. The baby would I just don't think I could deal with the screaming baby.
No, I would do the same thing. We've got small dogs. I can't imagine though 130, 140-pound dog. But the screaming baby, you wouldn't sleep at all. All right, last one. Would you rather take a 5-hour car ride blindfolded or a 5-hour flight sitting next to a stranger who wouldn't stop talking?
Probably the stranger who wouldn't stop talking, because at least I'd be a little bit entertained,
Yeah,
hopefully.
when you're in a car, like nobody ever closes their eyes in a car. Literally after 10 minutes, you'd be losing your mind. I think 5 hours, you truly would open the car door and jump out. I think you picked the right
Yeah, I think I
answer.
probably would get car sick too.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I really appreciate you doing this. I said this, especially as the season progressed. It's one of the great stories, and I'm glad that there's an outfit like No Laying Up that was chronicling all that you were doing, that could, dig in to the performance, celebrate it. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon enough. Have a great season.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
All right, there is Lauren Coughlin again, winning twice on the LPGA. She went 3-0-1 at the Solheim Cup until her halved match in Sunday singles. She never saw the 17th green. She won 3 matches in team play and was sensational. We're going to take a break. It's 25 minutes past the hour. Taylor Zarzour, the host of The Starter on the PGA Tour Radio Network, is going to join me for the balance of the show. A lot of items to get to with this Signature Series event at Pebble Beach, our picks as well, and Dogs of the Week. We're back on 5 Clubs right after this. Welcome back in. It is 29 minutes past the hour here. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel, and you can listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network on Sirius XM. This segment brought to you by Peter Millar, where luxury meets performance. Anything you need, wherever you may be going, to a ball game, to play golf, a night on the town, Peter Millar has got you covered. Someone who knows that exceptionally well is the host of The Starter on the PGA Tour Radio Network, who will be with us. You were with us week 1. You've been on the road the last couple of weeks. Taylor Zarzour, my friend, good morning. How are you?
I am covered in Peter Millar.
Yes, you are. Ensconced.
Where did that tee shot go, by the way? This rejoiner that we keep seeing, where did that go? It looked like it was going
No,
left.
that was take 12.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Some
Right trees.
Justin Thomas footwork there. Left foot was moving quite a bit. And who is this Winklevoss guy that you compared Patrick Cantlay to?
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah?
That you haven't seen the movie Social Network.
I know. I need to see it.
It's an excellent movie.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the point is, I didn't get to hear your show, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, because, look, we both have the same feelings about the value of Rory McIlroy's thoughts and his righteousness. Tyler Winklevoss, the whole idea is like, we're turning the PGA Tour into more of a secret society as opposed to the meritocracy, which is part of the appeal, at least for me, that put your tee in the ground and put the score in the box, and whatever that score is a reflection of how much you make. And now we have more show up, no cut, subset events like, hey, this is for the best of the best. And even the best of the best are not even going to all these events. Let's get to what Rory had to say about scarcity and this whole idea that YouTube is infringing on the audience of the PGA Tour. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I really, like you said, respect Rory and always value his opinion. I think Rory McIlroy is speaking for Rory McIlroy when he said that. I don't think he's speaking for the entirety of men's professional golf. I don't think we need less men's professional golf tournaments. We need Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, and the best players in the world 10 to 15 to 20 times a year playing against each other. By the way, we're getting that maybe 4 times a year right now, to the point that you made earlier in the program. The idea that Grant Horvath or the Bryan brothers are taking away from watching network television coverage of men's professional golf is laughable. I think it's additive, if anything, what the YouTubers are doing. I think, if anything, younger people are like, oh, cool, this is great. I enjoy watching this content. Maybe I'll watch some more of it this weekend when it's on CBS or Golf Channel or NBC or SiriusXM or wherever you consume PGA Tour Live, ESPN Plus, throw that in there.
Yes.
Wherever you consume your golf, I think it's only additive to that. But to the point you made, we haven't gotten the best players in the world competing against each other yet this year. We're going to get most of the best players on the PGA Tour competing this week at Pebble Beach. Wish Xander Schauffele could be there, and hopefully he's there in 2 weeks in San Diego when they play the Genesis. But I think that will be a better reflection of how much interest there is in men's professional golf than any tournament we've seen yet. If we had Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, and a few other of the biggest names in men's professional golf also playing in the tournament, then we could scrutinize how many people watched and if there's something wrong with the coverage or there's an oversaturation of golf. But I don't think we can do that now because we haven't seen the best players compete against each other.
No, you're right. Here's the other thing about the Signature Series. That's fine. I mean, if you can incentivize, which they're doing, with massive purses and half of them being no-cut events. But you and I have seen this act before. It was the World Golf Championship Series. It was created in 1999 and by the way, it was built on the 100-year flood, which was Tiger Woods, because when he brought the tide in, it lifted all the boats in the game. That tide has receded because he doesn't play much anymore. And by the way, he outrates the PGA Tour hitting into a screen, which you're covering on SiriusXM on Tuesday nights, and we'll get to that. But now, like the first year of the Signature Series, the only way you could get out of an event was with a doctor's note, like literally.
Right.
Now, you don't even need that. And Rory has already said, going back to November when he was playing on the DP World Tour at the end of the year, that he thought, okay, I'm not probably going to go to Hilton Head, probably going to take off a playoff event. So already there is erosion to this super subset of events that is supposed to be, hey, God, we can count on you to be there. Not necessarily.
Yeah, and I get that there could be a little bit of frustration with that we're not going to get him as often as we would want to get him. I also understand his position on that, which is, I want to win the Masters. I want to do anything I can to win a green jacket. And if that means I have to take off a few more tournaments so that I'm in the best position possible to win that green jacket, so be it. I think that's what that is about, Gary. I think he's trying to peak at Augusta National. I think he would like to peak for the Open Championship at Portrush. I think he'd like to peak for the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. And I think the entirety of his schedule is built around making sure he peaks for those biggest moments of the year. But to your point, yes, it would be great if it were mandatory, like it is in NASCAR, to see the best in the world compete against each other on a recurring basis. Again, we don't have that right now. And until we get it, when and if we ever get it, I think that there's still going to be but the reason why the audience isn't as big as it should be is because not all of them are in the same place. But again, we haven't had that yet this year.
No.
We haven't had, Scottie Scheffler hasn't played golf yet on the PGA Tour.
Nor has Rory.
Nor has Rory McIlroy.
Nor is Jordan Spieth, who used to be as valuable an asset as anybody.
And I still think he's very valuable.
We'll get to him.
And I think this weekend he'll be very valuable on CBS if he's contending to win the tournament. He still attracts a lot of eyeballs. But the idea that not enough people watch the American Express or watch the Farmers because of slow play or because of YouTube getting in the way is crazy.
It's crazy.
It's not. That's not the reason.
No,
the reason is who wasn't playing in the tournament.
Thank you. One last thing about Rory's schedule. I heard you say this on your show, The Starter. You can listen to it every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 2 hours on Thursday and Friday, that he's tried everything. He's tried everything in terms of the cadence of his schedule to build for those 4 weeks. He tried the Valero. He's not going to do that anymore. He felt an obligation to the Heritage right after the Masters. Probably not going to do that either. The Signature Series, should any Signature Series event butt up against a major championship, ideally, either before or immediately after?
Probably not, no, but I also understand what the PGA Tour is trying to do. I do think that there's no question that it has strengthened the RBC heritage at Hilton Head
immeasurably
by having that event the week after the Masters and by it being a signature event. But if you're
same with the Travelers, even though we were getting a good feel right after the U.S. Open.
Yeah, and if you're in the week before the PGA Championship, the Truist will be at Philly Cricket Club this year. Typically, it's here in Charlotte at Quail Hollow. I understand the reasoning why the PGA Tour does that. But if you're Rory McIlroy, who I completely support that he's going to die trying any noodle against any wall to try to win the Masters, he'll play every tournament, he'll play none of the tournaments, whatever it takes. I'll talk to everybody before the tournament. I'll talk to no one before the tournament.
That.
I will show up 5 days before. I'll show up 24 hours before. He's going to try everything he can think of to try to win that green jacket. And I really respect that. I respect the fact that he's so open about how desperately he wants to win this tournament. So I think that him building his schedule this way is all about that.
Look, I appreciate his evolution. I appreciate his opinion, which great opinions are the most informed opinions. His opinion about Olympic golf is very different 10 years ago than what it is now. That so much so that an Olympic medal is a career priority over winning almost anything else other than the Masters and a Road Ryder Cup. We're going to take a break. When we continue, the Scheffler window, what exactly does that mean? And he's been calling TGL the last couple of weeks. What's working, what needs to be tweaked. It's great to have Taylor Zarzour in with us on a Wednesday morning. We're back on 5 Clubs right after this. It is 41 minutes past the hour. Great to have you with us on this Wednesday. It is 5 Clubs on Golf Channel. You can also listen to us on the PGA Tour Radio Network on SiriusXM. The man who starts the day on SiriusXM on the PGA Tour Radio Network, Taylor Zarzour, the host of The Starter, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. He will be with us every couple weeks when he's not in Florida playing some of the best golf courses in the world. By the way, I don't need the coordinating producer of Monday Night Football asking where your rejoin bumper is.
Yeah, no, I need one. I'd like to see my waggles on a rejoin here.
All right, very
Strike
good.
one down the middle at Charlotte Country Club.
There we go. Scheffler plays this week. Over the last couple of years, whether it's you and I having this conversation, you having it with others, it's like every player has to get past certain things that they haven't done before. I remember when Justin Thomas won in Kuala Lumpur, and then he won again in Kuala Lumpur, and then he won in Hawaii, and everyone's like, well, he still hadn't won on the mainland.
Yeah.
And with Scheffler, it's like, well, yeah, okay, he hadn't won, and then he plays in the Ryder Cup, and he beats John Rahm, and it's like, well, he still hadn't won, and then he wins, but then he doesn't win after March, and it's like, well, he doesn't win in the spring and the summer. Look, we're past all of that stuff. What do you expect of him this year?
I don't expect him to win 8 or 9 times. I think that that's unrealistic.
Sure.
I expect him to have a chance to win 8 or 9 or 10 times like he did last year, like he did the year before. I think that this guy is such a consistent ball striker. He is probably the best in the world at hitting a shot into the fairway off of the tee and hitting a shot from the middle of the fairway to the green. Given that, and his ability to get up and down around the green. Given that, he's going to be in contention, Gary, on almost an annual basis. As long as that hand is okay, which I expect it is, and he's not trying to cut ravioli with a wine glass, which is crazy, by the way. Drink out of the wine glass, please.
He doesn't drink wine,
Yeah,
apparently.
evidently
Yeah.
he just cuts ravioli with it. As long as he doesn't do something silly, then if he has good health, we have to expect that he's going to be in position. I know you have questions about Justin Thomas and the rest of these guys in 2025. It's much harder to answer that about him or anyone else than it is about Scottie Scheffler. He is the biggest given that we have in the game right now. And what's next for him, by the way, is winning one of the other major championships.
Right.
To me, if I'm him, I don't know that he'll reveal this publicly like Rory McIlroy tells us all about his goals. But if I'm Scottie Scheffler, I'm eyeing the PGA Championship here in Charlotte. I'm eyeing the U.S. Open in Oakmont. I'm eyeing the Open Championship at Royal Portrush. I think checking off one of those other major championships is a big goal of his in 2025.
Yeah, look, he's been fine in the Open. It's the most modest in terms of his performance record of the 4 majors. I honestly thought on Sunday last year, I'm like, oh my gosh, here he comes. And then he stalled out right around the turn. I'm with you. Look, any major rotor for him fits him. It's going to. The other thing you said that is why I think this will continue is that he will be insistent not to dwell on what he's already done or to project what he might do. There is nobody, I don't think, really in sports, Taylor, that has an ability to really just go, you're not getting me. You're not getting me to reflect, and you're not getting me to project. And because of those things, his mind in his quiet space of when he does perform is better than anybody's.
He reminds me a bit of the new football coach at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Bill, who never gave you anything when he was the head coach of the Patriots.
Never.
He wanted to talk about what was next in the process on the field. And Scottie Scheffler is a lot like that. And he has this smile when you try to ask him a question about 30,000 foot golf and the big picture, and he has that look of, you're not going to get me to answer that. And I really respect that about
Absolutely.
him. Including Tiger Woods, there's been no one in the 21st century that keeps it in play better than he does. And because of that quality, I expect him to have a big year, a big career, and as long as he's healthy, he's going to be in the picture for over a decade to come.
The Spieth thing. You go back to last year, and it's not like the wrist cropped up in the middle of the year. He actually got off to a nice start. He finished 3rd at the Century, finished 6th in Phoenix. He had the disqualification at Genesis, and he had only one other top 10. It was at the Valero before it became so persistent that he was compromised physically.
Sure.
What do you think over the course of the year? Give him good health.
Yes.
What is he?
He's a top 10, top 20 player.
Okay.
Which is what I think that he was before this wrist was bothering him. Post 2019, when he started gaining on it again and had this resurgence, that's what he was. He was a Ryder Cup level player, a President's Cup level player that was one of the 10 to 20 best players in the world. He's not as consistent as Scottie Scheffler is from tee to green. He is a wizard once he gets on the green, and he's must-see TV trying to figure out what to do with each of the shots. But the last part of what you just said, give him good health. If this guy isn't thinking about making contact with the ground and how his wrist is going to react to that contact, then I absolutely think that he's one of the 10 to 20 best players, which is great for the game of golf. We get this guy winning a tournament or two a year. We get this guy in contention a handful of times. That makes tournaments better. The Spieth-Greller interaction, give it to me. Now, I think ideally in a 40-second block would be nice. I'm not saying he needs to be on the shot clock all the time, but if he had to figure out what to do in the next 5 seconds and he's panicking taking a club for Michael Greller, that would be awesome to witness. But I love that interaction. I love Greller's reaction to Spieth probably more than anything else. But I'm excited to see that again at Pebble Beach. Hopefully he doesn't try to dive off of a cliff this week. And we get him, by the way, he's great out there. He's won this tournament before. He's very good putting on those slow Poana greens. I expect him to be a factor.
Shot clock violations. You live long enough, even Tiger will get one.
How about that?
Which you did. You're calling it the other night. You've done it the last 2 weeks. I said, look, they had a night.
Yeah, they did.
And look, Rory and Tiger can't play each other every week. What is working for somebody who's been in the arena but also consumed it on television? And what do you think over time might need to be altered or tweaked?
What is working is the team interaction between the players. Tiger Woods, Kevin Kisner. Kiz is gold. Rory McIlroy and the way he interacted with his teammates the other night was great. The strategy discussion, alternate shot, or as they call it, triples. I think it brings a lot of fun banter back and forth between the players. I really like that. What needs to be strongly considered, Gary, are who are the people that are playing in this. Just because you're a top 10 player in the world doesn't mean that you should be required to be in TGL. If you have no interest in entertaining us, then you shouldn't be part of this. I think that they have to think strongly about the most entertaining people that are involved in professional golf. And I didn't say men's professional golf. How great would Charlie Hull be if she was playing in TGL?
I don't think you're allowed to smoke inside, are you?
Well, she could vape, maybe.
Okay.
But regardless of whether or not she's burning a heater or not, she is very entertaining.
Fair.
And I think that they need to think strongly about people like her being involved. And I don't care if you're ranked in the top 500 in the world. Look how great Kevin Kisner is in this event.
It's a TV show.
It's a TV show. You need to be committed to the assignment. Okay. And I think that that's the biggest thing they need to think about moving forward.
All right, when we continue our picks for the week and the standings. Hadn't been a great start for this guy right here. Not great out of the blocks. We're back on 5 Clubs right after this. All right, it is 53 minutes past here on Wednesday. We reveal the team selections, everybody on the roster here at 5 Clubs and who they like this week on the PGA Tour. Let's take a look, though, first at the standings. And this segment brought to you by Pinehurst. I think you and I are going to play number 10 on February 21st, is what I understand. The best new public golf course in America, voted on by Golf Digest. Here we go. Jeez. Look at the bottom. Now, consider that there has been a no-cut event that has been included in this, and Taylor hadn't even made $200,000 this year in 4 events.
I don't think that pays for my expenses, does
That's like Vince Wilfork coming out of the blocks in a 100-meter dash.
Ludwig, why did you have to get sick last week? Ludwig.
Yeah, nobody has picked a winner yet on our crew here. I've gotten off to a reasonable start, but again, it's a long season. So with that, Taylor, let's take a look at the selections this week. Let's start with you. I played Jason Day last week at a place he's been very good at. You play him this week.
Well, and this is the other place that he's really good, that he top 10s it on almost an annual basis. And given my limited understanding of the rules, I think that I can only pick a player 5 times per year. So that's why I'm not picking Scottie Scheffler like Emma did. But I'm going to take Jason Day this week and try to accumulate some points here. You know, you remind me of Billy Dowling, our producer on SiriusXM, who loves to pat themselves on the back in January with where they are in the standings.
I said a reasonable start. That's patting myself on the back, and I'm glad Billy got a drop here on the show. I'm playing Morikawa. Look, you talk about a do factor, and again, iron play is critically important. We're glad that Gil got his pick in like 9 seconds ago.
Yeah.
He really is the most tardy of anybody.
I like waking up overnight to the Gil Hans pick.
There we go. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, our favorite segment, and he loves it because he's a dog owner, Dogs of the Week, coming up next right here on 5 Clubs. We end our week with the greatest creatures on earth. It is time for Dogs of the Week. I know he agrees with me. And a former European Ryder Cup captain submitted his dog who passed away. That's Paul McGinley. That is Phoebe, who was with him every day when he practiced for years and was so obedient, whether it was Sunningdale, whether it was Queenwood. And I've played golf at Sunningdale where there's been a champion dog in every group. That's Ajax, who walks along and plays with its owner on the golf course. That is Kaylor, who is a 12-year-old Weimaraner. And then finally, the last dog of the week is, it's a beautiful dog. That is Azalea at the Northland Country Club in Duluth, Minnesota. That's Connor Bergman, the head golf professional. Every club is enriched by the presence of those creatures. Am I right or am I right?
Amen to that. Buddy, the German short-haired pointer.
You need to get him in the rotation here.
He needs to be in the rotation as well. He's sleeping, I assure you, right now through 5 Clubs. But
most people do.
But Azalea is a good pup. I love that.
Yeah.
And we're going to see plenty of dogs at Pebble Beach. I love those shots right on the Pacific Ocean near Paul.
Best dog beach in the world.
Near Paul Spangler's special tee box, the 10th tee carved out of the ocean at Pebble Beach. All those dogs running underneath. I love that.
Pebble's a special week. We got a great field. Great to see you. Great to have you home.
You too, my friend.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Folks, have a great week. Enjoy all the golf. We will see you Monday here on 5 Clubs.